Welcome, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 4 with Black Ice. And of course, we're playing as Germany. Now, mentioning the Black Ice thing. Had a person who I know I could find out, but who commented and asked in the comment section on one of the videos, did Black Ice break, or how do you put aircraft on carriers in Black Ice? And I said I'd make a video because I know how to do it in sort of standard. So I started up as America. Come over here because this is where the Pacific Aircraft Fleet is. And I could only stick six aircraft, excuse me, on a carrier. And I didn't, so I don't know if Black Ice has broken the carriers, and that was sort of my problem starting up the game this morning. Is I had the standard version of Black Ice selected when I meant I should have had the sort of the Let's Play version that I made to keep this series going. But so I don't know how well that's working at the moment. That is a bit of a problem. Now, playing as Germany, we don't really, and this is one reason I hadn't noticed things, is we really don't use, hey, thanks for hosting, Arno. We really don't use carriers here. So, I don't know about that now. And I don't know, we got some smart people here. And I've been thinking about Third Reich events and Hearts of Iron 4. I'm currently reading, I know most people want gameplay, but I'm sorry. This will be short. Reading Hitler's Empire, and I'm definitely learning more things about Hitler's Empire. And some of the stuff I most assuredly knew. The conflict between the state bureaucracy and the party. Always knew that was going on. Always knew that Gauleiters. This goes back to my childhood and reading. I say that, I was in my teens, reading. Hello, Daruk, if you're still here. I was trying to put, on a test thing, I was trying to put aircraft on carriers, and it seemed to max out when I had, now they were early American carriers, so I don't know if that has something to do with it. Max out like at 6 aircraft on a carrier? Is there a problem there? Is it broken? I had somebody comment in a video of, hey, I can't load any planes on carriers. So just something to pass on about what's going on with that. I don't know, and I did it with the sort of standard version that I have. Not this. This is a my just Let's Play version, slightly out of date. Black Ice. But so yeah, just something that I don't know what's going on with that. Now, okay, so back to the Gauleiters. The book is saying satraps. I don't quite think they were satraps, if you sort of know what that I mean. But Gauleiters really were very independent and were very hard, or almost, they had a lot of power, and they could almost do what they want. So maybe satraps isn't too far from the mark, but they, they fiefdoms would be probably a better term. Yeah, I don't know. Just somebody needs to take a look at loading on carriers or planes onto carriers and make sure that they're working as desired. And I'm not sure, but somebody brought that up to me, and I went in and looked at it earlier this week. fiefdoms would be a better term, not quite as independent as satraps, but that they could sort of do what they want. Now, and I knew this to be the case. This, and again, is stressing sort of highly and talking about particular fights, and how different Gauleiters were following very, very different policies. Excuse me. Like the one of the Gauleiters, because there was between and God, I can't remember the details between. Uh, just those who don't know. For me, remembering the details when I get to modding, I look things up. But just talking here, I don't remember things. Like, if it was a little bit of Belgium that had expanded over, like probably like here, uh, I think it was like up in Malbindy, as a state that Belgium got after World War One. That went to one Gauleiter, probably something like here. I forget which one is Alsace and which one is sort of Lorraine here. I see this, but one went to one Gauleiter, and I think the sort of southern bit down here goes to a different German Gauleiter. One of the Gauleiters in there was trying to enforce in the what they thought was the German population, because they were German-speaking peoples, trying to enforce German versions of names as opposed to French names, where the other one really didn't care at all, and would point to high-ranking Nazis that had some of the similar sort of French type names, and so pursuing their own little policies. And that's very much the case with National Socialist Germany, except that whenever Hitler spoke, whenever Hitler came down on something, they immediately followed Hitler's line of whatever he wanted when it addressed specifically to them. I'm looking back to a book that goes into this very well, is Hitler's Compromises. That's the title of the book, and particularly like in dealing with religion, because there were some Gauleiters that were particularly anti the church, generally anti-Christianity, and would do things and then start upsetting stuff, and people, and even Hitler sort of encouraged some of this, because Hitler was an anti-Christian, but then it causing too much upset. A lot of this is going on in the 1930s, caused enough upset that Hitler would sort of step in and reverse the policy. But Hitler wanted them to try it somewhere to see what the people's reaction would be, and then if it was too strong, oh no, back off, because it was sort of done by the Gauleiter. Oh no, Gauleiter, Hans made the mistake of this. I'm coming in to correct it. So he was seen as sort of the white knight, the guy coming in on the the horse to solve the problem. So Hitler wasn't getting the blame for these bad policies, although he was often encouraging them quietly behind. And so Hitler definitely would come in, and this was also, and I say go back to reading Albert Speer. Speer's finally, in the latter stages of the war, finally imposing centralized order on a lot of things over the Gauleiters' objections. He finally had enough power. So people, the Nazi state was very chaotic in that way, ill-managed. And so, and then they also talking about the conflict between the party, the NSDAP, and the SS. Those sort of end up being the three main factions, according to this book, in Nazi Germany: the party, the SS, and the civil state, if you will, for who governs, and the different factions that were, including very high up leaders within the Nazi party, and what factions they represent and how they're doing this stuff. And I would sort of put in the third, or the fourth, would be the sort of Speer's empire, if you will, of production that comes out, and his. Right, let's see what the chat's saying. Hey, Tippett. So, now, my question is, there was a point other than just simply pontificating on Nazi Germany, how to mod this conflict in events. And, okay, hover over something. Hey, pick this. It'll cause you problems. People aren't going to pick something that causes you problems. But I haven't looked at some of this, but there are ways to hide the effects simply by having this event fire another event that's hidden, and so that you don't see it. But what I want to sort of model, and this is as much for the people that are watching later, something that will cause more problems today, meaning like putting the civil state in power versus the party, that would cause Hitler a lot of problems, but in the long run would probably cause less problems. So something that would disrupt, and how best to do that is, maybe disrupt stability. Yeah, I'm thinking about this. Disrupt stability when you fire the event, like lose 10% stability, but put in an effect that would boost stability over time. So you'd have a drop and then a long-term stability gain versus no drop, but one of these things that I can't sort of scroll down on, an effect that would cause instability. So yeah, that may be something like that. Okay, well, and I know some of you are interested in my modding thoughts and some of you aren't, on how to do stuff, because you go there, you join them, because we've got another 3 divisions coming up, and one's already here. No, you stay, you join, you keep moving through to there. We cut these guys off, hold the Seine, I think that's the Seine, yes. These divisions join in that pocket crushing, and one of these divisions join in the pocket crushing. Okay, well, we're holding much of the north bank of the Seine, at least north of Paris. Japanese army embraces Nanshinran. Okay. Oh, we're Heinz Guderian versus Charles de Gaulle. I knew there was a French armored division there. But Totenkopf is running away. Okay, good. Now, well, I think we could try a river crossing here. Fourteenth Infantry Division. Okay, wow, that happened a little faster than I thought. The triumph in France. Our victory in France nearly complete. The French government has asked for an armistice, and our diplomats have prepared terms for which they have agreed to. They will retain control of southern France while we will, yes, establish. Okay, so, 1,000, whoa, okay, 1,900 Renault infantry trucks, which will be useful. Germany captured a lot of equipment. Well, you know, things like trucks from France. And we can hover over this. Okay. The Moss 36 rifle. Those were the new French rifles. Renault FT tanks. Wow, 390. Renault EU1 as a basic tankette? People. I don't know. The EU, the Renault EU, was a two-manned, very lightly armored tractor, I think would be a good term. In that it not armored, if I said not armed, it had no weapons on it, but it towed things, either just supplies in a little wagon, or like an artillery piece or an anti-tank piece or something lightweight like that. And they were very, very lightly armored, you know, enough to stop a bullet, but, and that may be even questionable, definitely not like a 50 cal. Now the Germans did, because they captured a bunch of them, did sort of turn the sort of secondary person in it, made a little, in some of them, made a little armored box thingy and put a light machine gun there. But I'd hardly call the thing a tankette, at least not in French service, but... Okay, lots of equipment. I don't know. Rants is coming. I'm trying to refrain from that. Okay, so a lot of equipment. That will help us out. And we also now have more shipyards. By one, it looks like, because we may have ships in. Just seeing if we had any. Because we have stuff in the naval repair queue, I presume. There we go. Eke out a few more. Now, okay. White peace, French state has capitulated. Now, okay. Now we are going to, partially just because of history, get on trains and drive. God, you never made it across that river. Okay. We want to see about visiting Arnaud here. Now, again, get on trains. Why wasn't... Oh, one of you was over somewhere else. Okay. But what we need to do here is to make sure that we don't get little surprises from the British coming, like these guys are coming across from there. So before we start getting really ambitious and going somewhere else, let's secure our current holdings. And in this book, Hitler's Empire has been going into, you know, the differences, which, yeah, we have all sort of known. Obviously, any of us who even halfway pay attention to what happened in World War II, about how the East was treated differently than, you know, the West. And no real surprises there at all, for me at least. That they were treated different, but it is more details of the situation I really liked that they went into the differences between some of the different plans for, Rosenberg's plan to sort of set up puppet states in the East versus just expanding out German territory directly. Second armistice at Campion. The deaths. The Lakehurst version of the Lakehurst disaster using photo for the death from Rudolf Hess. Trade with Sweden due to low. I'm not liking this. Why are we getting this? Oh, tungsten. Okay. Oh, I'm not liking this. Why is our trade... Okay, and I don't quite honestly know whether this is a black ice problem or a Hoi 4 problem, but why is trade opinion, if you will, so low? Because we have a base of 75, distance -1, so we're slightly a little ways away from it. That's nothing. And then relations, really, really bad. Now, oh man, maybe we do have a rant coming. Yeah, I get that, Arno. But and yes, we can improve relations, and we're gonna do that. But hasn't anybody, watched a World War II movie or documentary about the Swedish steel trade, etc., in which the Swedes continued to trade with Germany, and that's the whole point of controlling Narvik. What you need to do is have a it says base 75. Put in an effect somewhere that while Germany controls Narvik, it improves trade relations. So maybe diplomatic relations. So long as you're not at war, that cuts off all trade as it is. Who is Italy planning a invade? Man, Italy likes going after the Isle of Man. I've seen that several times before. Good night, Tippett. Thanks for being here. Sorry you're having problems with Twitch. I don't know. I don't know. saw again, and I started to go down this road. A tweet out an official Paradox or the Hearts of Iron account, which of course only focuses on Hearts of Iron 4. Hey, no one expects the blank 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 Inquisition. Well, it was the I think it was the Lithuanian Inquisition, and that Lithuania had Poland had yet to be touched. Germany had defeated France in this thing. The picture, but Lithuania. So Poland, I don't know what this Poland was. No one had taken any territory from Poland. So Germany maybe befriended Poland or something like that and got it into the Axis, maybe. And there might have been German divisions, but we didn't see this, fighting the Soviets. But Lithuania was some huge country here. And I'm going, yep, that shows me that Hearts of Iron is still broken. Still broken. Me and Brett played and went to war with Hugo a few months early before World War II. There were neutral focuses, and we're half a year away from ever joining the Allies via focuses and stability tank. I knew it would happen, but it hit hard. Yeah. There's reasons why things happened the way they did in World War II. Okay, what we're going to, now that we are mostly done with the fighting, we're going to upgrade these divisions because we want newer, better. But I didn't want to pull them off of the front line while we were invading France and possibly using them in important things. Country cores, Wallonian cores. Okay. 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 Place Wallonian cores on the map. I don't know that I want to do those. Flemish cores. I don't know that I'm going to try to break up Belgium. Dismantle the Maginot Line? 15 factories just for, well, 180 days. That's not short. Fort level 2. I don't see a good use for that at the moment. Ah, here we are. Improve trade relations. Okay, but that's 75. Okay, so this sort of deals with that, but I really think just simply by owning Narvik, we should get this. I want the tungsten, so we're going to do that. Okay, upgrading the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Panzer divisions with new Panzer III and Panzer IV technology research. Add it to the OOB, form the new divisions, yes. Upgrade the 4th Panzer Division, yes. These will really help the divisions out to be much stronger. Very good, I like that. I really like the way they did that. I mean, trust me, I complain about this enough, and I don't mean to just be a complainer. But I like that they not just had the little thing you click, this thingy here, but had it proper. But I don't know if I like that. At OOB? No, I like that OOB. That's good. Ooh, I don't know. Do we have enough of these? Mechanized infantry, right. guess we do. But see, that mechanized stuff would be something for the UE tractors to sort of represent or captured French half tracks. The artillery prime movers is maybe what they're looking at, but I wouldn't think so. I'm sorry I'm not being the greatest expert on all of this. Okay, those could be upgraded to something newer. Artillery prime movers, yes. I thought, now maybe we don't, I thought we needed, okay, we need these types of things for that. Okay, well, I was looking here, and they're putting the 251 half tracks as a 1942 thing. Interesting, interesting. So, what's Arno saying? For flavor, use the 9th Panzer Division when invading my country in real life. It did so. Okay, we can send over there. I feel like you underestimate miners, Russia, though Japan. Okay, okay. You can just take a moment and reorganize your production line. Maybe when this episode, then you can do it before starting your new one. Help a lot. Yeah, they could help a lot in finding stuff. Okay. How do I explain this? I get your point, Ari. Lithuania. They made no arms, okay, in this time period. I don't think they make any arms today, but they made no arms in this time period. So I think it was Lithuania, but it may have been other Baltic states or different Baltic states of the three or something, had a large supply of British small arms, Vickers guns, Enfield supplied by Britain, and plus getting weapons from other sources. But they had no rifle production. I am not even sure if today and or back then, if they made their own bullets. I would be shocked if they made their own artillery shells. So, like, I know for a fact they made no guns. Now, it really isn't that hard to, shall we say, make a cheap pistol or make like a Sten gun, a cheapy submachine gun. Once those sort of technologies percolate out, they're fairly easy to manufacture. Meaning you just need, it's really simple, but those are particularly crude weapons. But a rifle, they didn't make any. So none of the Baltic states made any of. Well, I guess they reorganized the state once they took over the. Oh no, this is, I guess, going back. Okay, I thought it would be more here, but yeah, that's probably right. So none of these people makes their own weapons. Okay, so their production ability is basically zero. So how do you get the large, yeah, no. And so, yeah, that's sort of my problem. And there's a lot of cases of that, of things that you can build and do that really didn't happen. So, yeah. I'm a little perturbed by some of that. Okay, let's select this. Or no, select all. We're going to send them down here because we can tell that something is brewing down here. And you wanted the, what was it, the 9th Panzer Division? Where is it? Do we have it here? I just want to check the template here. Yeah, this is a good template. I guess for some reason the 6 looks like this. I should have read the description. Maybe it's just upgrading. Now, to me, I know I'm jumping all over with my rants. To me, mechanized infantry is an armored infantry type thing. The Germans definitely had the 251 before the start of the invasion of the Netherlands, but did not have many of them. So there's Rommel in the 7th. There's the 8th. Well, let's under Guderian. I'm not seeing the 9th. It could be one of the ones that don't yet. I don't know that we have a 9th. I don't think we have a 9th, Arno. I don't think we do. Sorry, we're not invading you with the 9th. Because we don't have one. I know it wasn't terribly important or anything, but... Okay, we will give you to Guderian, you to Rommel, you to Guderian. And you can go to Rommel. Well, yeah. Oh, select all. Now, what we also want to look at here is, okay, expand that. Now that we've got France, we went too far to the right. Okay, no, man, I'm getting sick of these big, of hunting things down. Okay, here. I think, another Rhineland. Okay, Vienna Award, Aligned Kingdom of Hungary, Aligned Kingdom of Hungary. Why can't we? Any allied country. Huh? Allied country is a neighbor of the Kingdom of Hungary. This focus will cancel it. Oh, I think I know why we can't do this. Is because this is Poland right here. And it's an allied country on the border of Hungary. Okay, well, you know what we're going to do is send in the... actually, I think we will send in some panzer divisions here to defeat the partisans before they go somewhere else, because they're being stupidly resistant here to things. So we're going to crush these partisan outbreaks. No. Just simply focusing forces on... I wanted to see if I could break through Belgium to get into France, because at least one poster said that they weren't commenter, or maybe I should say they weren't able to break through France, and I wanted to see if pushing hard fast with the great bulk of my forces would get me through France fast enough. That was the main get through Belgium into France fast enough. That was the main reason I just did that and didn't need the distraction of dealing with the Belgians. I mean, dealing with the Dutch at that time, sorry. I do know what I'm talking about. I'm just... This morning I'm not talking as well as I should. Okay, the British just fought their way into Cherbourg, it looks like. I think mostly because these guys showed up without any organization, but because they were on trains. And now that is free French territory. No, I'm unsure about this. Coffee, well, I don't drink coffee. I don't like coffee. For me, I guess it's... My caffeine is Coke. Okay. Panzer's Drive. Okay. Wow, they got those things done now. Back to here. Now, let's see revolt risks. No, is it over here now? Is this where I should be looking? No. Oh man. There it is, just a thing. Okay, manage occupy. Okay. Gentlest. Like I was saying earlier, sorry I'm jumping all over different topics right now. They really the difference between occupation and the East and West, we've always known, and they going into more detail and sort of some of the whys and wherefores with this stuff is really what the book is only giving me, not because obviously we knew that occupation of Denmark, shall we say, was incredibly different than occupation of the Ukraine. The book mentioned that unlike World War II, World War One, sorry, unlike World War One, there were only 2 famines in what they're calling Western Europe during World War II. And they were not that they were famines in that people were dying for lack of food, most assuredly. So it's a bad thing. And this is under Nazi occupation versus under the Kaiser's occupation, whichever Kaiser, because there were more famines in World War One, whichever Kaiser, meaning the Austrian or the German Kaiser. One was Greece in the sort of first year of occupation. There was one, and I knew about that famine. and that's sort of what I was saying, what they're calling Western Europe. I wouldn't call Greece Western Europe. And the other one was in 44 because of various things, including German policy by that point, a famine in the Netherlands. Now, where there was sort of ongoing famine in the East, especially like in Ukraine, they were doing that. So definitely knew this, but they talked about how it was so easy, and this was particularly like in 41, 42. It was so easy, and the amount of troops it took to occupy France for the size of the population, for the size of the country, was incredibly low. And that was because of, one, who was running the occupation in France. And so I need to make more notes for some of these types of people for different things. On the one hand, and on the other hand, it was the support of the French government, because the French government in Vichy, down here, was still ruling and controlling the rest of France. It was just that was the occupied part of France, and we're not talking about France or territories that Alsace-Lorraine and whatnot that get directly re-annexed by Germany. We're talking about France. It was still being run by the French. The French police in Paris were answering to, ultimately to the Vichy government here. This was just the unoccupied zone versus the occupied zone. So here there should be minimal revolt risks. And particularly also look at like Belgium. They specifically, because they thought the war was over, basically, they had a policy of sort of production as what they were seeing as post-war Belgium to sort of appease Germany. So the idea that is the amount of whether resources going to Germany, which is important, and here they're looking at different levels of resources versus the amount of local factories going in versus some of these other things. So I don't know. I'm still, my head is still sort of in the zone of how to mod some of this stuff. I would have I think you can set up some of these that are only available for certain nations. So I would have a French Republic version that would be available so long as Vichy exists. That would give a reasonable amount of resources and a reasonable amount of factories supporting Germany. And do that with a very low revolt risk, so long as Vichy exists. Because if you look at historically, we hear a lot about all the French resistance movements. Well, early on, late 1940, early 1941, I remember that some in that time period. There's in the Paris racehorse tracks, racehorse, running on the racehorse. One of the riders with the Cross of Lorraine, this on his back. And nobody at that time, or very few people at the time, and none of the Germans realized that that was yet to be a symbol of the resistance, that somebody riding in a very public racehorse. And we know it has to be, and it's a dated photograph, but I don't remember the date specifically, but I know it was early. Because horse racing was banned everywhere in Germany eventually, except for Munich. Munich was the only place that was allowed to continue with racehorses up until basically the end of the war. We could go into that, why of that, if somebody's really interested. But so the Germans at first didn't realize that the Cross of Lorraine was sort of a free French resistance thing. But even in those early days, they weren't like doing anything significant. Well, in a direct action sense, because they were just sort of organizing themselves up. But they also sort of knew that, well, hey, yeah, we have Vichy. If we need to organize resistance, what we want to do is get Vichy, if you will, in control of all of France. Get the Germans out. We don't want to give them reasons to be here. Now, once Vichy goes away functionally, yes, Pierre Laval continues a collaborationist government up until the end. He is a complete and total traitor. We can talk about Pétain, Marshal Philippe Pétain, if you want. I look at him as, and I know especially people that live through it will have different opinions. Now, of course, most of them are dying off, but I look at him as a French patriot inheriting a government after it's collapsed and doing the best he can to try to make sure France survives the best they can, where I see Pierre Laval as a complete and total collaborationist, at least by the end, and as a complete traitorous bastard. So, resistance growth, -30, local resources, factories. Okay, yeah, we're going to put this and this sort of gentlest here in the west to reduce this. And I find gentlest is best. You get less things, but less revolt risk. Yes, but see, how do I put this? And I look at this as me as a player as well as me as a modder here. And Third Reich Events is far from dead, though I'm not actively modding it right now. I really want Third Reich Events to be a good reflection of what happened historically. To me, that is important. What, on the other hand, is I don't want to force players to do stupid things. Okay. Mistakes, if you will. Like force them to produce a bad aircraft. Well, they did it historically, so you must do it, or something. No. Like forcing Germany to go to war with the Soviet Union at the historic date and time, because it's obviously a stupid mistake to do so. At least under those conditions. But then we get a lot of people, a lot of players, which I don't want Third Reich Events to be. And I've had people express this to me. Well, I want to conquer the world as a good Germany. And a lot of these are Germans. I'm about ready to say something dangerous. And this has absolutely nothing to do with race, but does have something to do with culture. I haven't publicly put my last sort of talk on culture out there yet. The Germans still to this day have a desire to organize things, including the rest of the world, the way they see fit, the way they see is best. They have this cultural desire to do it. We see this expressed very much in Angela Merkel's policies and the general EU policies of trying to organize the world as they see best. And I think this is in the German national character. And they're not the only ones. But I guess in comparison, China is very, very insular, including the current Belt and Road policy, the current expansionist Chinese policy. They don't care about how Africa is organized. What the form of government is. If they're going to have a liberal democracy or a cannibalistic dictatorship, they don't care. Now, they want access to resources. They want military bases. but hey, they don't care what the local government's going to be so long as they get what they want. So China is not concerned about organizing up the rest of the world. Doesn't mean they don't meddle in politics and things around in different parts of the world. They do, but they're not concerned about global crusades, whether to save the environment or save the people or save whatever. They're interested in China for good or bad reasons, whatever you may want to talk about. They're interested in China. They're not interested in the rest of the world. And so there's national characters, and those are sort of some of the extreme elements. Unfortunately, the left has been taking over in America and is trying to get America to be more interested in organizing up the rest of the world as well, which I find a bad idea. So, Gamer, quickly talking of your mods, a lot of people seem to want to update a good number of them. Yes, I know both probably Hearts of Iron 3 and Hearts of Iron 4. I've been ignoring the 4 comments because if I start looking at those comments, I'm either gonna feel really bad and not improving things, or I'm gonna work to improve things that I really don't have the time to do. And I need to update them, though actually a couple of them probably don't need updating and would work anyways with whatever's changed. But yeah. Yeah, thanks, Ari, though. So to get back to forcing people to make decisions, and again, Hitler's empire is making me think on this, and Ukraine is a classic example. After the Holodomor, and we'll just say a century. I don't want to be hyperbolic about it, but a century of Russian oppression in Ukraine had really pissed the Ukrainians off towards the Russians, generally speaking, and which is still the fact to this day. Germany was looked upon truly as a liberator and enthusiastically supported. Hey, Genic Mint, what's going on in the Netherlands? We're getting ready to invade shortly, but I'm ranting about other things. Really looked upon as, they were enthusiastically going to support the Germans in their war effort against the Russians. By the end, even though there are tens of thousands that continue to fight alongside the Germans for various reasons, including there's eventually a local Ukrainian resistance movement that supposedly continues active resistance into the 1950s. So Ukraine sort of becomes a civil war. But Germany spoils just about all their goodwill with the general populace by their behavior, including creating famines that we were sort of mentioning earlier. So, as Two's really good book on German economics, which I've only read bits of it, but I saw a lecture that Adam Tooze gave on it, and someone when an academic lecture, someone asked him, well, what if Germany had did different policies, because he mainly looks at economics of occupied countries and how they affected the German war effort. What did the Netherlands contribute during the war to help Germany? Because I know that the Netherlands basically produced no weapons for Germany, but they contributed materially, including manufacturing, but no complete weapons building to Germany. And I don't know specifically what they did, but they definitely contributed a lot to Germany's war industry. That's what that book sort of looked, and not just the Netherlands, but the different countries. Well, what if they didn't follow, racial policies, blah, 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 somebody asked them. And how would that affect things? And I think it was Adam Tooze, or maybe the co-author, which I'm forgetting now, says, you mean what if Nazi Germany wasn't Nazi Germany? And, well, we don't know, and we don't care, because we're looking at Nazi Germany. These sort of wacky what ifs. What if it was the happy, good Germans that were just trying to, organize the world up, fighting the world? I get the point that World War II happens for a lot of nationalistic reasons. To this day, Germans are upset by the, Versailles Treaty, and, sort of kind of support some rearmament and redressing things. I get some of those things. And then, so, well, what if the good Germans did World War II? And then I also get, what if we were just looking at getting rid of the Soviets, not Germany conquering the Soviet Union, but just, a war to liberate Russia, which I would see as a positive thing, quite honestly. Not when, and of course that means no territorial taking of Poland away. We're talking purely a maybe a united European effort to get rid of the Bolsheviks. That's a different matter. But, well, what if Nazi Germany wasn't Nazi Germany? Well, I have no interest, unless somebody's specifically paying me to create something, and then, yeah, I will create something. But as an enthusiast interest, I have no interest in making a mod in which Nazi Germany is not Nazi Germany. But we know that there was, I guess, General Plan East, and then and I hope I'm getting the distinctions right, because even though I'm currently reading the book, it's the other one would be the Rosenberg Plan. I think that's how you would define the two general, and there's multiple different sort of plans and different things. The two general plans for what to do in the East. General Plan East, I think, would be the one term, and the other one is sort of the Rosenberg Plan of how to deal with occupation in the East. Rosenberg was still a Nazi, but much more friendly to things going on in the East, though he was an incompetent administrator, and definitely an evil person. But so I'm looking at within the realms of Nazi Germany decision making, of giving options to players within those realms. So it's not, what if democratic Germany was fighting Bolshevik Russia? No, that's not what I'm interested in doing. I'm looking at National Socialist Germany fighting, moving east. So they're going to have definitely different opinions and policies versus, say, the Netherlands and Denmark, what was the I think that the term that they used was Germanisch versus Deutsches, Germanisches versus Deutsches, meaning, I guess it would be pronounced Germanisches versus Deutsches. Germanisches, sort of that they were looking at, was sort of, which might be more in the more modern sort of use, the Aryan sort of peoples, is sort of like the Germanisch peoples versus the Deutsches, the actual German citizens. So in the sort of greater super Germany, they wanted, Norway, Denmark, the Netherlands, these people to all become German, if you will, as part of the greater Germanisch Reich, versus the actual Deutsches, and I'm sure I'm getting the pronunciations of these terms bad, sorry, Germans watching, the actual people that were holding German documentation, passports, citizen, Ausweis, whatever, and sort of kind of thing, or whether, because this was talking in the Quisling up in Norway was an ultra nationalist, and Arnaud could probably help me. The Bassett, whatever. The local sort of Nazi fascist Fuhrer. There was some idea whether these Norway, Denmark, the Netherlands be sort of their own sort of Nazi type state, that's sort of a secondary state under a German overlordship, or whether they would be directly eventually incorporated into a single unified Germany. And so we can see within the realms of being National Socialist Germany, there are different choices to be made, different viewpoints to be done, and still be National Socialist. That's the kind of stuff that I want to explore with Third Reich events, not, well, what if they were the good Germans conquering the world, and if they, doing something different. So that's it. Sorry, a little too much ranting. Next episode, less ranting, more gameplay. See you then.